Yo, what's going on, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be ranking where do I think these teams are going to be in the playoffs when it comes around to the current rosters and to the 2023 and 2024 season. So first up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, who have the MVP, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and I see this team being a second roundish team. So let me explain why. So Joel Embiid is playing probably some of the best basketball of his life. You know, last year he was the MVP. I don't know if he's going to go back and do it again, pull a Nikola Jokic, but this team is not very but young. Obviously, the youngest player they have is Tyrese Maxey. They're also their only point guard, but overall, just a second-round talent team. I don't really see them going past theirs. So next, we have the Washington Wizards. So with them losing Bradley Beal and only really having Danny Avdija, I'm going to put them in the... I have them going to the play-in unless Jordan Poole can pull some Jimmy Butler shit. I don't see them going past the play-in. Maybe a play-in team, but not any more, any less. So, real quick, I'm going to add a tier for like people who don't make the playoffs at all. So let me do that real quick. All right, so there's the missing it thing for people who are not going to make the playoffs. So next we have the Atlanta Hawks, who I have being a first round team, sorry. So this team is very great at having a great regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they're not really that great. You know, they traded away John Collins to the Utah Jazz, and overall, I just don't really see them going that far in the playoffs. So next, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who I have being a runner-up this year. You know, Donovan Mitchell has been playing some of his best basketball. Jared Allen, if he is going to be on the move, could get them a very great capital trade package. They can get some great bench depth, which they've been needing, and probably one of the best reasons. So next we have the Detroit Pistons. I'm sorry, but Amen Thompson is not going to carry this team to a playoffs. I'd say they miss it completely. I had to be the one to say it. So next we have the Indiana Pacers. So this one's an interesting one. When they have, you know, Benedict Mathurin, Chris Duarte, Tyrese Halliburton, all those good players that you have on this team, I'd see this team being a solid... I'd say Indiana Pacers are going to be a playing team next year. This is just an experimental team. You know, you have new players coming in, a lot of new moves, but a bunch of good players who are coming in and doing different things next year. So the Milwaukee Bucks. So last year we seen a play-in team absolutely sweep them in the first round, exposing some of the holes in this team. So when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks, they always are great at having a good regular season, and when there's actual good talent running through the playoffs, they can't win chips. So I have the Milwaukee Bucks completely missing. It's between these two. I'm going to have the Milwaukee Bucks missing the playoffs. Okay, so I ended up changing my mind, and I'm going to move the Milwaukee Bucks to the play-in team, and I'm going to put Toronto in the missing it tab. So Toronto is a very interesting conversation. So this team hasn't really made any big moves besides, you know, losing Fred VanVleet, which is probably their best point guard since, you know, what's his name? Kyle Lowry. Okay. And obviously Precious Achiuwa, Giannis Manobi, you know, Grady Dick is not going to carry you into the playoffs. I'm just saying it. They're going to be a team that's bad for a few seasons, but ends up getting really better. I think they're going to have very good capital with Grady Dick. He's just not going to be good in his first year, so that's why I have them missing it. This is a very young team. You know, Pascal Siakam is not an old guy by any means, so that's a very good team. So next we have the Dallas Mavericks. So this is another interesting one. So the Dallas Mavericks were not very good last year. They missed the playoffs. Okay, and they ended up re-signing Kyrie. That's not Kyrie's fault at all. You know, it was just bad management. We get it, you know. But with Kyrie re-signing, and it wasn't, you know, a late deadline trade, we have Kyrie being able to play a full season, and, you know, them not having terrible players start at the point guard. He has help. I think this team could be a second round team-ish. I feel them getting a very good pick in this draft, in this up and coming draft, and getting a very good player. So next we have the Denver Nuggets, who haven't really made any moves so far, but I have them being chip contenders, running it back. Obviously, Nikola Jokic playing some of the best basketball of their life, Jamal Murray coming back, and Michael Porter Jr. still playing high league of basketball. I see the Denver Nuggets coming back and being ready for a chip. So next we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who this team, with the Morant situations going on last year and a ton of just immature things going on in this team, it's a very young and happy team. It's the definition of when you let teenagers rule a team. I'm not calling them teenagers, but it's just like, compared to all these teams that have all these veterans, the Memphis Grizzlies are a very young team. And could I see them winning a chip? Yeah, they're a very great team. If Ja Morant can come back, they have always been in the playoffs. They've always had great regular seasons. Obviously, they had a very great season last year. I can see them being a runner-up team if Ja Morant can sit down and work it out and be absolutely great next year. He could probably win the title if they can make some moves. Jaren Jackson Jr., all those players are very great. So next we have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, so the Minnesota Timberwolves with Rudy Gobert, Cat and Anthony Edwards, I see them being a first-round team. They're a very great team who ends up having a very decent record. They're not very high up in the series usually, but most of the time they can end up having a great run. But I just see them going to the first round this season. They can make some moves, build around Cat and Anthony Edwards. If they were to trade for another star, get rid of Rudy, they could probably make some really good contending players in the league. So next we have the San Antonio Spurs. So the San Antonio Spurs have a great player in Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, they have a ton of picks, but they can make a very great move this offseason. So Jeremy Shohan, all these great players for this team. And Coach Pop isn't really going anywhere at the moment. So with all that intertwined, we can't really count on Victor being that good in his first season, but I could definitely see him being a second round-ish team. That team is very good past Victor, but Victor's the future. When you draft in the top three, like Gilbert Arenas said, when you're getting drafted, when it's to a top three team, you're going to go to a bad team. But the San Antonio Spurs aren't a bad team. They just have a lot of issues and they can't really pull it off. Next, we have the Utah Jazz. So this is a very great team, okay? They have, obviously, they have Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, obviously, John Collins, Colin Sexton, and obviously some great picks with Taylor Hendricks and Keontae George. So this team is very young, very great. So this team, I'm going to have them going about the first round. Not very deep team in the playoffs, but I could see them having a very great year. And building off of that, if Taylor can develop and Keontae can find his role in Utah, I think this could be a very great for the future. So next, we have the LA Clippers. So the Los Angeles Clippers, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and, a late round pick that was Kobe Brown of this year. But I have this team being a play-in team. They don't really usually go that far in the playoffs, but they do end up having some hype in the playoffs, and it always ends up paying off. Russell Westbrook has a bigger role on this team than he did in LA. So next we have the Phoenix Suns, who made a big move. Huge move, getting Bradley Beal. This team is a definite chip contender, no doubt. Gonna be one of the best teams to look out for next year. So next we have the Portland Trailblazers, who might lose Damian Lillard, and it would be a young team. But honestly, I could see them being a play-in team because they did sign Jermaine Grant back. They'd still have Yusuf Nurkic, and a young Scoot Henderson. I don't see them losing too much of Dame, but they end up losing maybe a first round, second seed spot because that is a very huge player to lose. I don't know where he's going to go. He could go to Miami Heat, like they were saying. He could go to Minnesota. He could go a lot of places. But next, we have the Kings, who I see being a second round team. They had a huge playoff run last year. Unfortunately, had it cut short to the Golden State Warriors. Just a very great team overall. So next we have the New York Knicks, who I have also being a play-in team. Obviously, they were the 5th seed last year and a very great team, but they suffered a lot in the playoffs. But they do always have a great regular season. I just see them maybe falling a little bit behind, but they could prove me wrong, and that's totally fine. There are a ton of seeds left. So next we have the New Orleans Pelicans, who I see having tremendous success if Zion's back. But if Zion doesn't come back, I see them maybe being a first-round team. I mean, they're a great team by themselves, but with Zion, they can obviously have more leverage. When Zion comes back, he puts up MVP numbers, but he's not going to be back probably anytime soon. So next we have the Charlotte Hornets, who I have the Charlotte Hornets being a play-in team. So, Brandon Miller's not going to turn this team into, like I always say, a rookie coming in is not going to have the Magic Johnson effect. It's just 1 in a million, But that's not taking away from LaMelo. That's not taking away from any of these great guys. It's just you can't really put that much pressure. Management is not that great right now. Overall, I see this team being a play-in team. Once Brandon Miller improves, I could see them maybe going to a second-round team. Next, we have the Houston Rockets, who I also have being a play-in team. This team is always usually not that great in the playoffs, which is not really their fault. They are kind of a really leveraged guard team. They have a ton of guard leverage, and they went up and picked Amen Thompson, but a very overall great team. So the next we have Miami Heat. So Miami Heat is great at picking up undrafted players and turning them into absolute gold role players. We have Max Strus, obviously, and a ton of great bench players. But this team can end up finding something in free agency. I believe they can, and maybe they can even go up and pick Damian Lillard, give Jimmy Butler some help. Bam is not really going anywhere, so I can see this team being very great next year. So next we have the Chicago Bulls, which is one of my favorite teams of all time, but unfortunately they're going to miss it, okay? LaMelo's not coming back anytime soon. Zach LaVine is just getting older. I mean, you don't really hear anything about Zach anymore. And overall, DeMar DeRozan's not going to cut it for this team. So next we have the Brooklyn Nets, who I have being a first-round talent. They're a very great team with Cameron Thomas, all these great players, especially young players like Mikal Bridges, really built team that I can see going far. So next we have the OKC Thunder, who are a very great team, who are very good sleeper team. But I promise you this team could be a runner-up next year. Well, I'm not going to promise you that, but I can assure you that they're going to be either second round or runner-ups. I believe they're going to be a run-up next year. They're the sleeper. Shea's popping off. You got Giddey improving every year. He's being in his bag. So next we have the Golden State Warriors, okay? So this is the interesting team. So they have a 6th man of the year in Chris Paul, who's going to have the bench role and obviously going to be putting up a ton of points off the bench. Ultimate veteran who can help this team along with a very old squad. But they have a ton of young players that really need it, like, Moses Moody, all these players. So I have them being also chip contenders. And pretty much the Boston Celtics, I also see them being runner-ups. No, I see them being chip contenders. The Boston Celtics are very great every year. They're always so close. They're always so good, and they just always come up a little bit short when it comes to finishing and actually winning the playoffs. But they always make it, and they always end up being chip contenders. And wait till 1 year where they actually pop off and actually win it. So next we have the Los Angeles Lakers. They were a Western Conference team last year, ended up beating the Warriors. So I also believe with this team and them picking up Max Strus and all these great players, they're 100% a chip contender. I could see the Lakers winning it all next year, which would be great. But I also could see and for the last team, I have the Orlando Magic being a second roundish team. So let me know how I did in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys want to see more of this. And if you disagree or agree with me in the comments, go ahead and leave me something down below. But overall, I'm going to see you guys in the next one.